There is a quiet truth about beginnings. What you carry into the first moment of a new cycle often shapes the path that follows. Not by magic, but by the mind it creates within you. On the night when one year fades and another is born, people celebrate with noise, light, and color. Yet few stop to ask, what does this color awaken inside me? There is one color you should be mindful of wearing on this night if your wish is to build wealth not only of money, but of clarity, discipline, and lasting success. That color is dull gray. Gray is the shade of indecision. It is neither light nor dark, neither action nor stillness. It reflects a mind that hesitates, that lingers between choices, that fears commitment. And wealth in any form does not grow in hesitation. It grows where there is clear intention and bold movement. When you wrap yourself in grey at the moment of a new beginning, you quietly tell your mind, I will stay where I am, I will not fully step forward. And the mind listens. It always listens. Wealth is not only earned through effort, it is shaped by the energy you cultivate. A focused mind sees opportunities. A decisive heart takes action. But a mind clouded with doubt lets chances pass like wind through open fingers. Instead, choose colours that awaken clarity and purpose. Deep green reminds you of growth and steady progress. Gold reflects value, confidence, and self-worth. Even black, when worn with awareness, can represent strength and discipline. These colors do not create wealth, but they remind you of the mindset that does. Do not misunderstand this teaching. It is not the fabric that controls your fate, but the meaning you attach to it. The color becomes a symbol, and the symbol shapes your thoughts. And your thoughts, repeated over time, become your reality. So as the new year approaches, do not simply celebrate. Choose with awareness. Ask yourself, what kind of mind will I carry into this year? If you wish for wealth, do not begin in hesitation. Begin with clarity. Begin with intention. Begin with a color that reminds you to move forward without fear. And remember, true wealth does not come to those who wait in the grey space between decisions. It comes to those who choose, act, and remain steady on their path. New beginnings shape outcomes. The mindset you carry into the new year influences your actions, decisions, and overall success throughout the year. At the edge of every new beginning, there is a subtle but powerful moment that often goes unnoticed. It is not marked by fireworks or loud celebrations, but by the quiet state of your own mind. The turning of a year is more than a change in time. It is an opportunity to set the direction of your inner world. What you carry into that first step, your thoughts, your emotions, your sense of purpose, begins to shape the path that unfolds before you. Many people believe that success in the coming year depends on external factors, luck, circumstances, or sudden opportunities. But in truth, these things are often reflections of something deeper. The mind you cultivate at the beginning influences how you see the world, how you respond to challenges, and whether you recognize or miss the chances placed in front of you. A distracted or uncertain mind will overlook opportunities that a focused and clear mind would immediately grasp. On New Year's Eve, people choose what to wear with excitement, often thinking only of appearance or tradition. Yet even this simple choice can become meaningful if approached with awareness. What you wear is not just seen by others, it quietly influences how you feel about yourself. It can strengthen confidence, or it can reinforce doubt. It can remind you of your goals, or it can leave you drifting without direction. When you step into the new year, your mind takes cues from everything around you, including the symbols you choose. If those symbols reflect clarity, strength, and purpose, they help align your thinking with those qualities. This alignment may seem small in the moment, but over time it grows into consistent behavior. And it is consistent behavior, not occasional effort, that builds true wealth. Wealth itself is often misunderstood. It is not only money or material gain, it is the ability to make clear decisions, to remain steady in the face of difficulty, and to act with confidence even when the outcome is uncertain. These qualities do not appear suddenly, they are developed through repeated choices that come from a disciplined and aware mind. As one year ends and another begins, there is a natural opening, a chance to reset patterns that no longer serve you. But this reset does not happen automatically. It requires intention. It requires you to become conscious of what you are carrying forward and what you are ready to leave behind. Without this awareness, people often repeat the same cycles, wondering why nothing changes. So the real question at the start of a new year is not what the world will give you, but what state of mind you will bring into it. Will you carry doubt, hesitation, and distraction, or will you carry clarity, focus, and purpose? The answer to this question quietly determines the direction of your journey. In the end, the beginning of the year is like planting a seed. The environment you create in your mind becomes the soil. If that soil is prepared with care, intention, and awareness, then growth becomes not only possible but inevitable. Grey symbolizes hesitation and indecision. Wearing dull grey represents a lack of clarity and commitment, which can block progress and financial growth. There is a subtle language in everything we see, even in something as simple as color. It speaks quietly to the mind, shaping emotions and influencing thought without asking for attention. On most days, this influence goes unnoticed. But on the threshold of a new year, when the mind is especially open to setting direction, these small influences can become more powerful than they appear. Grey in its nature is a color that exists between extremes. It is neither bright nor dark, neither bold nor expressive. It carries a sense of neutrality which can be useful in moments that require balance. But when it comes to growth, decision-making, and the pursuit of wealth, this neutrality can turn into something limiting. It can mirror a state of mind that avoids commitment, that hesitates before taking action, that remains caught between moving forward and staying still. A mind influenced by hesitation does not act with strength. It questions itself at every step, delays important decisions, and often waits for perfect conditions that never arrive. Opportunities rarely present themselves in perfect form. They require recognition, courage, and timely action. When the mind is clouded with indecision, even the clearest opportunity can appear uncertain, and in that moment of doubt it is often lost. On New Year's Eve, when people stand at the doorway of change, what they choose to surround themselves with begins to shape their inner state. Wearing a color like grey may seem harmless, but it can quietly reinforce a passive mindset. It can signal comfort in staying within familiar limits rather than stepping into growth. The danger is not in the color itself, but in the meaning it carries and the feeling it creates within. Wealth in its deeper sense requires movement. It requires a willingness to choose a direction and follow it with consistency. This does not mean rushing without thought, but it does mean trusting your decisions once they are made. A person who constantly wavers between choices will find it difficult to build anything lasting because progress depends on steady steps taken over time. Indecision also drains energy. Each time the mind goes back and forth, it uses attention and focus that could have been directed toward meaningful action. Over time, this creates a pattern where thinking replaces doing and planning replaces progress. The result is not failure, but stagnation, a quiet state where nothing truly changes. The beginning of a new year is an opportunity to break this pattern. It is a moment to step out of the space of uncertainty and into clarity. This does not require dramatic change, but it does require awareness. Recognizing the tendency to hesitate is the first step. Choosing to act despite that hesitation is the second. Symbols such as colors can serve as reminders of this choice. They are not forces that control your future, but they can guide your attention. When you choose something that represents clarity and strength, it becomes a small but constant signal to your mind. Move forward, stay focused, remain steady. In this way, even a simple decision becomes meaningful. It becomes part of a larger intention to leave behind indecision and step into a year defined by purpose and action. And when the mind is aligned in this way, the path to growth becomes clearer with each step taken. Wealth requires clear intention and action. Success does not come from uncertainty, it grows from focus, decisiveness, and consistent effort. Wealth in its truest form is not something that suddenly appears in a person's life. It is not the result of a single moment of luck or one perfect opportunity. It is built slowly through repeated actions, clear decisions, and a steady commitment to a chosen path. At the center of all this is intention, the quiet but powerful force that directs where your energy goes and how your efforts take shape. Without clear intention, even the hardest work can lead nowhere. A person may stay busy, constantly moving, constantly trying, yet still feel as though they are standing still. This happens when actions are not guided by a defined purpose. Energy is scattered, attention is divided, and progress becomes inconsistent. In contrast, when intention is strong and focused, even small steps begin to move in the same direction, creating momentum over time. On the threshold of a new year, intention becomes especially important. This is a moment when the mind is naturally drawn toward reflection and change. It is an opening where old patterns can be observed and new ones can be formed. But if this moment passes without clarity, the same habits often continue, and the year unfolds in a familiar way. Clarity of intention does not mean having every detail of the future planned. It means understanding what you are working toward and why it matters. It means being able to say with certainty, "This is the direction I choose." From that point, decisions become easier. When faced with options, you can ask whether they align with your purpose. If they do, you move forward. If they do not, you let them go without hesitation. Wealth requires this kind of alignment. It grows when your thoughts, decisions, and actions are moving together rather than pulling in different directions. When there is conflict within the mind, when one part seeks growth and another resists change, progress becomes slow and uncertain. But when intention is clear, the mind becomes more unified and effort becomes more effective. There is also a deeper layer to intention that is often overlooked. It shapes not only what you do, but how you do it. Two people may take the same action but with different intentions, and the results will not be the same. One may act out of fear, rushing and doubting at every step. The other may act with calm focus, trusting the process and remaining steady. Over time, this difference in approach creates a difference in outcome. As the new year begins, the question is not how much you will do, but how clearly you will choose your direction. Will your actions come from a place of purpose or from habit and uncertainty? This choice may seem small in the moment, but it shapes every step that follows. When intention is present, distractions lose their power. When intention is strong, setbacks become lessons rather than obstacles. And when intention is clear, progress becomes something that unfolds naturally, step by step, without the constant struggle of doubt. In this way, wealth is not chased, it is built. It grows from a mind that knows where it is going and is willing to continue even when the path is not easy. And it all begins with a single decision made with clarity at the very start. Colors influence mindset, not destiny. The meaning you attach to colors affects your thinking patterns, which then shape your behavior and results. It is easy to believe that objects, colors, or rituals have power on their own, as if they can shape outcomes without any effort from within. But this belief can quietly lead the mind away from responsibility. The truth is more subtle and far more empowering. Nothing external holds power unless the mind gives it meaning. It is this meaning that influences thought and thought that shapes action. A color by itself is simply a reflection of light. It carries no intention, no desire, no force that can change your life. Yet the moment you associate it with an idea, confidence, fear, growth, hesitation, it begins to affect how you feel. That feeling then influences how you think, and your thinking guides what you do. In this way, something simple becomes part of a much larger chain. Many people move through life unaware of this process. They react to what they see and feel without questioning it. If something makes them feel uncertain, they pull back. If something feels comfortable, they stay where they are. Over time, these small reactions become patterns, and those patterns shape the direction of their lives. Not because of the external things themselves, but because of the meaning attached to them. When you begin to understand this, a shift happens. You no longer see symbols as forces that control you, but as tools you can use with awareness. Instead of being influenced unconsciously, you choose consciously. You decide what something will represent in your mind, and in doing so, you guide your own state of thinking. This is why even small choices like what you wear at the beginning of a new year can become meaningful. It is not about the fabric or the color itself, but about the intention behind it. If you choose something that represents clarity, strength, or growth, it becomes a reminder. Each time you notice it, even briefly, it reinforces the mindset you wish to carry forward. However, if this awareness is missing, the opposite can happen. You may unknowingly surround yourself with symbols that reflect hesitation, doubt, or passivity. These signals, though subtle, can accumulate in the mind. They influence how you approach decisions, how you respond to challenges, and how much confidence you carry into your actions. The key is not to avoid certain things out of fear, but to understand their influence and use them wisely. When you recognize that meaning is created within, you stop looking for external solutions to internal struggles. You begin to take responsibility for the way you think, and this responsibility brings a sense of control that is both calm and steady. In the pursuit of wealth, this awareness becomes especially valuable. Success is not built on random actions, but on consistent intentional behavior. And consistency comes from a stable mindset, one that is not easily shaken by small influences, but instead uses them as gentle guidance. As the new year begins, this understanding allows you to move differently. You are no longer simply reacting to the world around you. You are choosing how to interpret it, how to respond to it, and how to shape your path through it. In this way, the power does not lie in what you see, but in how you see it. And once this is understood, even the simplest symbol can become a quiet source of strength rather than an unconscious limitation. Choose symbols of growth and confidence. Colors like green, growth, gold, value, and black, discipline, can reinforce a strong wealth-building mindset. When standing at the beginning of a new year, every choice, no matter how small, carries the potential to become a signal to the mind. Among these choices, the selection of colors can serve as a quiet but steady influence, guiding how you feel, how you think, and how you act. While no color has the power to create wealth on its own, certain colors can support a mindset that makes growth more natural and consistent. Green is often associated with growth, renewal, and steady progress. It reflects the way nature moves, not in sudden leaps, but in continuous patient expansion. When you surround yourself with this idea, you begin to understand that wealth is not built overnight. It develops over time through consistent effort and a willingness to keep moving forward, even when results are not immediate. Green reminds the mind to stay patient, to trust gradual progress, and to remain connected to long-term goals rather than short-term distractions. Gold carries a different kind of message. It is linked to value, confidence, and a sense of worth. When you choose something that symbolizes value, you begin to reinforce your own sense of self-worth. This is important because the way you value yourself often determines the opportunities you accept or reject. A person who lacks confidence may hesitate to take risks or may settle for less than they deserve. But a person who carries a sense of value approaches situations differently. They recognize their abilities, make stronger decisions, and act with a level of assurance that attracts better outcomes over time. Black, though often misunderstood, can represent strength, discipline, and control when approached with awareness. It is a color of focus, free from distraction. When you align with this idea, you are reminded to stay grounded, to maintain control over your actions, and to avoid being pulled in too many directions at once. Discipline is a key part of building wealth. because it allows you to continue working toward your goals even when motivation fades. Black, in this sense, becomes a symbol of stability and inner strength. The purpose of choosing such colors is not to rely on them as sources of power, but to use them as reminders of the qualities you wish to cultivate. Each time you see or wear them, they gently bring your attention back to your intention. Over time, this repeated awareness strengthens your mindset, making it easier to stay aligned with your goals. What matters most is not the color itself, but the consistency of the message it carries. A single moment of clarity is not enough to create lasting change. It is the repetition of that clarity day after day that shapes behavior and builds results. When your environment reflects your intentions, even in small ways, it becomes easier to maintain focus and avoid slipping back into old patterns. As the year begins, this approach allows you to move with quiet confidence. You are not depending on luck or waiting for perfect conditions. Instead, you are creating an inner environment that supports growth, value, and discipline. From this place, actions become more deliberate, decisions become clearer, and progress becomes more steady. In the end, wealth is not something distant or mysterious. It is the natural result of a mind that remains focused, patient, and aware. And sometimes even a simple choice when made with intention can help guide that mind in the right direction.